Everyone, today we're going to be talking about getting that cleft diagnosis, whether at birth or during your pregnancy. To 2013 in October. And right before my birthday on October 4th, my birthday is October 6th, I got the best birthday present in finding out I was pregnant. We were in a situation where my husband Ryan's job, it was kind of an unknown of what was going to happen. His company was he just found out that day that his company was going to be sold that he worked for, and he didn't know if he was going to have a position once the company was sold. So financially, we were kind of unsure, but there's never a, perfect time to have a baby. So we found out we were pregnant in October, and we did all the scans, Down syndrome scans, and not scans, but blood work and everything that, typical pregnancy you do. And they said everything looked great, and baby's heart and all the organs looked great. And so at the 12-week scan, when we got the okay, we announced. It was the first week of December, I believe, 2013, and we were excited. We were told we wouldn't be able to have a baby for several years after I was on a birth control shot, and they said that it would make it very difficult to have a baby. And so the first month that we started trying, there's our miracle. And so we started buying everything that we needed and planning the nursery and all of that, just like a typical first-time parent does. And then we went to the anatomy scan at 20 weeks. And you always go in, especially as a first-time parent, you don't know what to expect through the pregnancy. But you want to go to find out if it's a boy or a girl. That's why you're going. No, it doesn't go in your mind that you might leave there with bad news or news that your child is going to be struggle from the moment that they are born, but it happens, and it happened to us. And so we went to a maternal fetal medicine because my OB doctor did not have an ultrasound, so we went down to the hospital in the town down south, and they did the scan, and they did the whole, you got to fill your bladder, you got to make sure that so it really pee. And they started from the feet up, and it's a boy. So excited. And, I knew it was a boy from the time I found out I was pregnant. Just had that feeling. And, Ryan was excited. He was going to have his boy to play with and, teach everything that he learned as a kid and, how to build things and everything. And the heart looked great, the lungs looked great, all the organs, and I'm like, yes, okay, let's just finish it so we can go tell everybody that we're having a boy. And the ultrasound tech they're called, stopped and started taking pictures, like, the screenshots, I don't know, they're the pictures, a lot of them. And they were silent. Like before, they were, oh, this is the heart, this is the lungs, and they were so excited, but like the demeanor completely changed. And it felt like an hour, but it was probably only a couple minutes. They said, okay, we're going to go have the doctor look at the scans, make sure everything's good, and the doctor might come in and talk to you, and you'll be good to go. Congratulations on your boy. Okay, all right, hurry up, doctor, I really got to pee, is all I was thinking. I was so excited, and then the doctor came in, and she kind of had a somber look on her face, not like, I didn't really know this doctor, so I didn't know if it was like her typical, expression. And she did the same thing. She took a bunch of pictures. She moved the, ultrasound around my stomach quite a bit, got different views, and I'm like, okay, now there's something going on. No one's talking to us, and it's scary. And so I said, what's wrong? And just very, obviously she does this often because the doctor didn't have much emotion in her. expression. But she turned, she put the thing down slowly, turned, and said, "There's something wrong with your baby boy." And that was it. Like, okay, could you elaborate? Like, what's going on? You guys just said that everything was fine. And then she started to introduce, you know, the cleft lip, cleft palate, and that they knew the baby had a cleft lip. Did not know the severity of it yet, but it, you know, was obvious in the sonogram. And they don't know about cleft palate, and until the baby's born, it's almost impossible to see inside of their mouth. You know, sometimes you can, but and from that point on, I really didn't hear anything. It was like I was in a tunnel, and I just waiting for the mailman to deliver our mail. We just I don't really know what the doctor said, because from that point it was like in a tunnel, and everything was slow motion. And so she said a couple things, and then she said, "I'm very sorry, you know, we'll get you more information a little bit later." Okay. And then she left. And I said, "Can I go to the bathroom now?" I really have to go. And I held it together until I got to the bathroom, and then I just lost it. Like, I didn't expect something to be wrong. I didn't ask questions. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was. I never really heard about it before. But I couldn't think about anything. My brain was foggy. And it was just devastation. Pure devastation. And I made it out a couple minutes later, and I could tell, you know, I knew Ryan was scared, and, you know, he's one that doesn't let on emotion at all, really. He tries to stay strong for everybody else, which could be a good thing, bad thing, depends. But we got some blood work orders, and they said they call us with more information later, and just walked out. Just, it was completely different feeling from when we walked in, excited. And I'm starting to tear up, sorry. You'll never forget that feeling. Never forget that feeling. And anybody who's been through that, it's really hard to describe. So we got to the car, it was parked in a garage, and Ryan just held me for, it felt like forever. And the grieving started. Now, no one died, but you're mourning the loss of what you thought your child's life was going to be like. Completely and absolutely different than what you expected. And you go through the grieving process. The day afterwards, I taught 5th grade that year. Taught 5th grade almost every year. And the kids, they knew I was going to find out if it was a boy or a girl, and they were excited. Boy or girl, boy or girl. And I had to be excited for them, but I just couldn't be excited that it was a boy when all I could think about is how difficult it was going to be. I would cry when I was alone in the car, in the shower, anytime that I had time to actually think. And I try to keep myself as busy as possible with his nursery and getting everything done and work. I really threw myself into work, and at that time I was taking some college or some endorsement courses, and I really threw myself into that. So after I went through that part of the process, we went through the anger and all of the other stages. Why me? Why my child? Why do I have to go through this? Why does he have to go through this? Just angry at everything. And we can't stay in that stage of anger and despair and mourning forever. We have to get beyond that. And however you do that's important. Everybody does it in different ways, but it's important that you do get beyond that. So we were good until, you know, the next month or so we were good, and we went to do the 3D scan, and they found out that his cleft lip was much more involved than they thought. Anybody that's not familiar with cleft lip, I did do some research on it beforehand. New parents that get this diagnosis, I really, really urge you to not go on the internet. The images and everything on there and information is just overwhelming, and it's scary. So I suggest you find groups on Facebook. There's Cleft Mom groups, and there's people that have been through it. They're just starting. They just had their baby. Their baby had surgery. All stages of life. Adults that are done with surgeries for now. That's where the best support will be. And so they told us that you know, it was more involved. So those that don't know clefts is, you can have it on one side of the lip. You can have it on both sides of the lip, which is what my son had. It went all the way into the nostril, this here, and then it was just a little dip here, so he had skin on this side. So he basically only had one nostril. So that's called a bilateral complete cleft, because it completely goes through the nose. And the palate, we did not know how involved that was going to be, but that turned out to be pretty serious. They wanted us to do some more blood testing, because a lot of times a cleft lip is associated with it's a symptom of other disorders, and they wanted us to do the amniocentesis, but we said no. It didn't matter. You know, he was going to be born regardless. They did give us the option to terminate, which we didn't even consider. And we, you know, had a little bit of a period of time where kind of grieved a little bit again, but then we just went on like we planned. The only difference is that we knew that he was going to be in the NICU, possibly, most likely. So I had to switch doctors. The doctor that had privileges at this specific hospital, they didn't have a NICU. So I had to switch to a perinatologist, which is a specialist in babies and disorders and high-risk pregnancies. So we drove 45 minutes once a month to get checked out, make sure everything was okay. And we delivered there, which is actually attached to a children's hospital. So he went straight up to the NICU, and they had all the specialists, everybody there for him. So that was great. I do want to say to parents that are just getting this diagnosis, or parents that are just about to have a baby, right before my anxiety and nervousness and stress and, you know, worrying, and what if there is something else additionally wrong that he's going to struggle with? What if there is a disorder and he doesn't make it, or what, a lot of things went through my mind, and it was really stressful, and it ended up putting me in the hospital with preeclampsia. And so just beware of that. But it was only a couple days before I was going to be induced anyway, so it didn't, you know, it didn't mess up any plans. But we were ready to go. By the time he was here, we had accepted it. We had figured out what to do. We had a plan. We had already met with a plastic surgeon. We already knew what was going to happen. And I think that was the best case scenario. When he came out, I had an emergency C-section because the induction that I had failed. So they showed him to me very quickly, and he just looked at me and he smiled. And he had the biggest smile because it went into his nose, and it was love at first sight. And there's doubts I've seen on the Facebook groups and other things where, am I going to love my baby? Am I going to not like how he looks or she looks, or am I going to be scared? And every single person I talk to is, as soon as you meet your child, there's no doubt. It's unconditional love, and his eyes were just shining at me, and it's just, my heart melted. And now he does that all the time, and when he's in trouble, he just smiles, and he was always smiling. And they took him to the NICU, and they worked on different, feeding different bottles and things like that. But we'll get into the NICU stay and speech and all the other videos. But it's normal to feel all these feelings as a parent that has a child with a Cleft diagnosis, and it's just very important that you work through them, and don't obsess over it. Don't go on the internet, and try to find someone who's been there to talk to them and know what to expect, have a plan, and welcome your angel into the world. It is going to be a life of surgeries and therapies and other things, but you can do it. Just one day at a time, and you can do it. So I'm actually going to put some pictures on after of the first ultrasound, the second ultrasound, the 3D, which was amazing. He looked exactly like the 3D imaging. And some other pictures of him when he was born, the first time I held him and things. It's just pure love. And if you like this video, subscribe, hit like, and I'm going to have a video every single week, starting with his cleft journey and moving on to our sensory journey. It is a sensory corner, but we started with our cleft journey. So that's where I'm starting. Have a wonderful day, everyone.